Yeah. It is Wednesday, October 14th, 5:30 p.m. This special meeting of the Board of Commissioners is called to order. City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Mayor Hendricks.
Here.
Vice Mayor Andrews.
Here.
Commissioner Price. Here. Commissioner Hodges.
Here.
Commissioner Douther.
Present.
Before we start, is there any public comment this evening? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Michelle Helms, and I live at 546 Johns Pass Avenue in Madeira Beach, obviously. And I'm coming in front of you all, and I've given you all a little package. We've been remodeling our home since 2016 when we pulled our permit back in October 18th of 2016. And we were approved for a permit to remodel our home, and we've gone through many different steps and some different health issues and family issues, and it's taken us a little bit longer. But we're running into a problem right now that I need some assistance with, and I've sort of put a packet together, and I'm not a great English lady or speaking, and I put some pictures in because that's how I learned how to talk. And we are now completed, but I'm having a problem having a final, and we've run into some issues with FEMA compliance. In saying that, we did apply for the permit. It did get approved through FEMA. It did get approved again when they looked at it back in 2017. Can't remember exactly which month, but it's in here. And it went on to continue building and getting inspections, and everything seemed to be going along. And when we applied for the permit for our pool, we then in turn tried to get some finals for our house and ran into some problems. Unfortunately, addressing the building department and trying to get answers and trying to get a resolution working together, we seemed at the point to try to pull all that, we kept getting roadblocks and no communication and nobody responding back to us until we get these letters of violations. And you cannot resolve them because without them extending the permit to solve the issues, like pulling another permit to put up a gate for a fence or on, we're at a standstill. So I need some assistance, and I hope you all can look at my little booklet here and try to see what I hopefully didn't miss too much. But I'm concerned with that if you apply for a permit, you're approved for the permit, the FEMA was approved, they re-looked at it because we moved our steps over instead of going straight up, they're curved, and they approve it again, and we continue to the end, and now we're stuck. So I'm looking at y'all to give us a little bit of assistance with this. That's all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Do we have any electronic email?
Not for this meeting.
Comments? Okay. Okay, the topic for tonight is Resolution 2020-19, adopting the proposed amendment to the current collective bargaining agreement between the city and IAFF Local 4966.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, the current collective bargaining agreement that we have with the firefighters union we're in the last year of it. It expires in September 30th of 2021. We will be getting together shortly, usually in the next couple months, on working on a successor agreement. But they had a provision, the firefighters union had a provision in their contract dealing with the compensation study and the difference between mid-range and, in essence, it was, if it was within 5% of the mid, or over 5% where they were short, they could come back and bargain for an increase. As it turned out, the firefighter, paramedics, the driver paramedics, they were short right around 5%, and the lieutenants, which there's 3 lieutenants and our fire inspector, they're in a different classification, and they were short 11%. So we sat down to kind of see what they wanted, and I kind of explained to them, what we've been doing with the regular employees, that we had the 2% that was there, and so we basically agreed upon the 2% increase for the firefighters, paramedics, and the driver paramedics, and a 4% increase for the lieutenants and the fire inspector. So it's basically a bargaining unit of 13 members normally. There's 12 right now because we have a vacancy at lieutenant, and I believe the chief's running an exam on that. So it was on their end, they unanimously supported the proposal, and I'm hoping that I have the endorsement from the commission tonight that we can move forward with this and set it aside.
Is there any comment amongst the commission?
Yeah, I just got a couple of questions. First off, I 1,000% agree that the firemen deserve every raise that they're entitled to. I hate to step back in the past, but this is a result of not their raise, but this is a result of doing that salary survey that we never even followed. In fact, it cost us $15,000. We only did the bottom half of the people. We didn't adjust the pay of the top half of the people. So long run, that salary survey is a gift that keeps on giving. So congratulations for all that approved that. Budget-wise, obviously I think everybody in the room will agree this would have been nice if this was done prior to approving a budget. How does this affect our budget going forward? Do we have to move anything around? Is there going to be an amendment to it, or what are we doing? Actually,
I'm glad you brought that up. I meant to in the presentation. We did have a senior fire lieutenant leave. He retired, and so his salary, because he left so close to the year, was still in the new budget at that rate. So there's roughly about $20,000 worth of salary slippage in that position, and then we have some other salary slippage that will be within that department. So in talking to our finance director, he feels certain that that's all going to be covered with the overage that we're going to have in the salary account. So, but we did look at that as to how we could fund this and take a look at it, and I think that's going to work to our advantage.
That's all I have.
Any other discussion?
Well, it looks like to me that on September 22nd, you already offered this, correct?
Well, this was the offer. It has to be ratified by you all.
Oh, so you didn't send this to the firefighters before this, or?
Well, yeah, we met at the table, but, just like they have to get the approval of their members, I have to get the approval from you all.
But this looks like it happened a month after the fact, is what I'm saying. I mean, shouldn't you have come to us, A, when we were doing the budget, and B, before you offered it to them?
Well, it probably would have been better. I was going with the guidance that I had at the time, but having been through my first executive session the other day, I could have done that sooner. You're correct.
And the other thing I notice is that the resolution we're going to pass says it will take effect immediately, but your letter to the firefighters say, if agreed, the effective date will be October 1st.
Right, it'd be retroactive to October 1st.
So we need to change this resolution. That's in our packet.
It's correct. In paragraph number 3, it says it'll take
Oh, it
effect
does.
October the 1st.
Okay.
So it's going to be retroactive, but paragraph 3 covers
Okay.
that. Okay.
So the last part that says it'll take effect upon adoption is just what's in the bottom of every resolution?
Yeah, we have to have an effective date on the bottom of each resolution. That makes the resolution itself effective. The actual change in ratification and the dollar figures that have been discussed tonight will be retroactively applied effective October the 1st. That's why that little paragraph number 3 is added.
Okay. But then right below it, it seems to, that's not all I'm bringing up. That's confusing to me as just a person sitting here, but, well, I agree. Like Commissioner Andrews says, 2,000% that these guys should get what's entitled to them, so I'm for it.
It's been a couple of days, but we had gotten with the city manager, and he explained everything to us. We went through the roundabout way of everything that's laid out here and what you're making, and I just feel so sorry that this has taken so long for you to get. I really appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Is there any public comment on this?
Robert Preston. Whoa, it's working.
We changed the battery.
Robert Preston, 425 South Bayshore Drive, Madeira Beach. I'm 100% for these men getting this raise. 100% back that decision. But I'm highly disappointed in the city. Commissioner Andrews touched on it just a little bit. These negotiations knew they were going to take place back in September of last year when Evans was here. And nothing was really done until just this brief time. So not only is it being retroactive, it's because it wasn't done in a timely manner, and it should have been done for your budget, without question. And the other part that I want to add to this is these guys are way behind the 5% comparatively to other departments, right? They were the ones that were out there risking their health for this community, while others in the city were paid to do nothing. That is a disgrace, a total disgrace. Again, this should have been put on your budget. They should have got a 5% up at the minimum. Negotiations happen again next year. I hope they don't do it at the last moment. But it's sad that it has to be retroactive when the city knew that this was an issue back in September of last year. And it wasn't in your budget because the city was not prepared to do that. They had every opportunity to discuss this with the union. Not only do these guys, men and women and the people that work at the fire department, deserve the pay, but they deserve the respect for doing what they do out there on a daily basis. And by doing this at the last minute, tells me that they were not respected. Thank you.
Any other public comments?
If I can make just one comment. Bob, this is an increase over and above their increase that they get anyway under the collective bargaining agreement. So it's not like we're ignoring our firefighters or anything. They're getting an increase, and this is above that. That's what this is. Just thought I'd clear that because you seem to think that we were shortchanging them. And some of this stuff is by contract, and we got to go whatever the contract says. So, all right.
Do I have a motion? Sure, yeah, go ahead.
And Mayor, I'm going to need to read that resolution by title only.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, just on behalf of the union, 4966, and more specifically, all of our firefighters across the street, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you guys even considering this race. We're incredibly, incredibly happy and fortunate to be working for the city. Just as a back note, the group of guys and lady that we have over there right now is truly, it's incredible. We've, when I started here a little over 8 years ago now, it was, not to say anything about previous shifts department, but Madeira Beach was more or less a laughing stock as far as the fire department goes. And we've come a long, long ways in 8 years. We're able to hold our heads high now. Every single person over there is a rescue diver. Every single person over there certified as work and be certified to operate an aerial apparatus. We lead the way as far as training goes. And it shows, on emergency calls and everything else. So all that being said, that makes a lot of those firefighters super, super attractive to outside departments since we've already paid for their training and all of that kind of stuff. And what keeps people here is working for this city and really enjoying working here and more or less just ultimately caring about the citizens. Everybody really enjoys working here. And we're happy that the city's taken the small step to bring us at least closer to average. And just bottom of my heart and on behalf of everybody over there, we appreciate you guys.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you. City Attorney, will you read the ordinance, please?
This is Resolution 2020-19, a resolution of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, adopting the proposed amendment to the current collective bargaining agreement between the city and the IAFF Local 4966, subject to ratification, making related findings and providing an effective date. That was the reading of Resolution 2020-19 by title only.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to pass Order Resolution 2020-19.
I'll second.
City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Hodges?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Commissioner Douthat?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Andrews?
Yes.
Mayor Hendricks?
Yes.
Passes 5-0, correct?
Yes. With that, this special meeting is adjourned at 5:47. It is Wednesday, October 14th, 2020, 5:47 p.m. This agenda setting meeting for the Board of Commissioners workshop is called to order. City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Mayor Hendricks?
Here.
Vice Mayor Andrews?
Here.
Commissioner Price?
Here.
Commissioner Hodges?
Here.
Commissioner Douthat?
Present.
Okay, item A, I would like to postpone until next month. So if we can pull that off the agenda.
I'm sorry.
Item
Mayor,
A.
what was the item you wanted to?
Item A, backyard
Backyard
chickens.
chickens? Yeah.
And Mr. Mayor, we have the presentation on the backyard regulations that Director Portel's prepared for the workshop.
Okay.
And I've got
Okay.
other items, if I may, or...
All right, sure.
Linda will also have an update on the mobility fee. She's kind of got an explanation during the meeting here tonight. You'll probably start hearing a lot about the mobility fee and the impact fee. So Mr. Murphy's here as well today. And then I've had a request from Jamie Aarons, our Public Works Director. He'd like to update you on the Beach Street and parking lot improvements that we have scheduled in the CIP. And then also the Gulf Lane drainage improvement. And then from Recreation, Jay Hatch, our director, would like to address the commission to a reference to our 75th anniversary that's going to be coming up in '22. And he wants to try to look ahead and form a committee ahead of time so we can look at what activities we're going to be doing and kind of plan with the community and the commission of, what all we want to accomplish in that year, a momentous year for us. And then he'd also like to talk about Friends of Madeira Beach Recreation and having a seed donation, possibly in the amount of $2,500, going to get them started. And then lastly, we've have some confusion going now. We're getting started back at the rec center, and I guess normally there's with the instructors, particularly with the fitness instructors and stuff, there's a fee split that's handled, and he'd like to talk to you about some ideas he has about redoing that process. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I've got a few issues that I'd like to put on there. The first one, and this may be our new number one objective for this year, at least I think it would be mine at this point. We've got to discuss the Johns Pass situation down there with the sand and everything that's going on there. We have elections coming up, and we've got some people that are running for office that represent us. This has got to be put to them front and center. And I'm not going to expand on it too much right now. We can talk about it next week, but we just had 45 businesses basically go to the press, and we're on TV basically looking like the bad guy on this. I'm not saying we are. I'm not trying to draw any conclusions, and I know we're going to hear a little bit about this in public comment here, but I think it's something we really got to grab a hold of now and try to figure it out, because that's a very important part of the city. The second issue is I'd like to do a post-mortem on the budget process. I think the confusion up until the last day, and I know that you can't lay it on a finance director that just got here, but I don't think we had the proper information, and we shouldn't be subject to a last-minute change of pace there to try to get this thing balanced. So I would like to kind of walk through this and talk about some things on how we can do it better next year, because while we did succeed in what we tried to do, I think we can do it better. Third thing I'd like to do, this has been something I've wanted to do for a while, but I wanted to wait till after the budget process was over. I'd like to do a review on the discipline and forced resignation of the deputy clerk, Andrea Gamble. The fourth thing is I'd like to know where the marina rewrite is, why we haven't posted it yet. And the last thing is, and hopefully if the city manager can get it knocked out before, these folks, the Helmses, seem to have an issue here. I mean, they've had a permit for 4 years. I'd like to at least be able to give them some direction, and if we can't get it before then, maybe we can do it during a workshop. Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay.
Well, I will narrow down my long list to one thing. I'll push mine over since they're not...
I'm running out of paper.
I know. Well, maybe we better limit ourselves to 3 topics or something. But anyway, holiday lights. I just want a quick discussion about them before we get too deep into it and before they get installed. So if somebody from the city could come halfway knowledgeable on that contract. Or send it to me.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? City manager, would you run over the last list?
Yes.
And be sure we've got this nailed down?
Starting from the beginning, we have the backyard regulations, the mobility fee update, the discussion on the Beach Street and parking lot improvements, the Gulf Lane and drainage improvements.
Wait a minute, what about annual parking permit?
Oh, I don't have that on my list, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's item D.
Okay.
Item D, okay.
I had the first list, so I'm sorry. Annual parking permit, great. Is there anything else on there I missed on at the beginning?
Yeah, Gulf drainage, Johns Pass issues,
And then I've got the rest of the list. It's 75th Anniversary Committee, donation to Friends of Madera Beach Recreation, the ability to work out a different situation with the instructors down at the Recreation Center, the Johns Pass sand situation that we have, the postmortem on the budget process, review of discipline on Andrea Gamble, the Marina rewrite, and the Helms residence, which there has been communication in reference to that, and the holiday lights.
Okay. Okay, anything else? It's a long enough list, huh? Okay. With that, this meeting is adjourned. Okay, we've got 5 minutes, folks, if anybody wants to stretch their legs for a couple of minutes.
Wednesday, October 14th, 2020, 6 o'clock. I know she said she's cleaning it up. That a dog can run and that a big dog. I might call her tomorrow.
John, you dropped something on the other side.
It is Wednesday, October 14th, 2020, 6:01 p.m. I call this regular session of the Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Commissioner Hodges, will you have an invocation for us and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, I will, thank you. Tonight, I'm asking that you all just close your eyes for a minute. Remember our past mayor, Mayor Black. We heard this morning that she did pass away. If you could just keep her in your prayers and then remain standing for the pledge to the flag. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Hendricks,
Here.
Vice Mayor Andrews,
Here.
Commissioner Price,
Here.
Commissioner Hodges,
Here.
Commissioner Douther,
Present.
Next item on the agenda is proclamation, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Will the clerk please read the proclamation?
Actually, I'm going to read that for you.
Okay.
This is whereas domestic violence is a pattern of abusive behavior in any relationship that is used by one partner to gain or maintain power and control over their intimate partner. And whereas the problems of domestic abuse are not confined to any one group of people, but affect people across all economic status, race, and ethnicity, sexual orientation, culture, and society. And whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity due to systematic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control and/or abuse. And whereas the impact of domestic violence is wide-ranging, directly affecting women, children, men, and society as a whole, and whereas RCS Pinellas has provided support, safety, and advocacy to domestic violence survivors and their children throughout Pinellas County for more than 50 years. Now, therefore, I, John B. Hendricks, Mayor of the City of Madera Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim October to be Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Madera Beach, and I urge residents to actively participate in the activities and programs sponsored by RCS to work towards the elimination of domestic violence. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Madera Beach, County of Pinellas, and the State of Florida to be affixed this 14th day of October, 2020.
I understand there's someone here to accept this proclamation.
This is the proclamation, and I'm going to have the mayor give it to you, and I'm going to take your picture. Okay. That's okay.
Great, yeah.
You have as much trouble with your glasses fogging up when you talk as I do.
I just want to thank the city of Madeira Beach for this proclamation. It is unfortunate that for 40 years now we've been commemorating domestic violence awareness. I'm hoping in the next 40 or less we can end domestic violence. We are an organization that is located in Clearwater, but we spread our arms to any and all who want services as victims, and we call them survivors of domestic violence. So thank you so much again. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have two presentations. I did. Yes, I did. You're right. Thanks, Abby. Okay, next is approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
A second.
City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Vice Mayor Andrews,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Commissioner Douthat,
Yes.
Commissioner Price,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hendricks.
Yes.
The
Well,
motion carried 5-0.
next is presentations. Is there a representative here from Jennifer Webb's office?
He's on Zoom.
Okay, all right.
Good evening, y'all. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, it's good to see you all. Welcome back to your chambers. I wasn't aware that y'all were going to be meeting in chambers. Otherwise, I would have joined you in your beautiful city hall. I'm Representative Jennifer Webb. I'm the state rep for the 69th district, of which your fine city is a member. And I've been doing legislative recaps for all of my cities. And so I wanted to briefly touch on what we were able to accomplish in the 2020 session, where we are with COVID relief at the state level, and what's available to individuals and businesses, and then touch on this coming session. So last session, really education and our environment won big. We passed a 119-page bill for DEP to protect our waterways. There was something for everyone to really love about that bill. I also working with Senator Brandes, was able to pass our leaky lateral legislation as an amendment onto an anti-pollution bill. This bill was a bill that I was excited to champion, specifically because of some of the residents from Madeira and Treasure Island who have really advocated for clear and transparent reporting when there is spillage into our waterways, and this bill will go a long way to making sure that that happens. Our teachers did receive a pay increase through advocacy. We were able to increase the number of teachers who were included in that pay increase and contain collective bargaining to the county level instead of having it go all the way up to the state level before coming back down. Last session, I was also able to pass a FIGA reform bill, and this is important for Madeira because y'all do have a lot of condos. FIGA is the Florida Insurance Guarantee Association, and so if we have a higher than average hurricane season and it causes our domestic carriers to become insolvent, the Florida Insurance Guarantee Association steps up and covers any damages. They're kind of the backstop for our domestic carriers. Prior to my legislation, condo buildings were only covered at $100,000 a door, which would not have been enough to rebuild the building. So it would have been a fight over who got to rebuild their individual condo within the structure. And we increased the coverage, we doubled it, And so we're, well on our way to parity with other neighborhood associations and individual homeowners. And so I think that our condo owners will have a greater sense of peace of mind. Well, they would have definitely going into this hurricane season. The other bill that I was able to do on behalf of our residents of House District 69 was to pass a bill to reform our Baker Act process for school system. I know that we're all familiar with Tampa Bay Times reporting on the number of kids who've been Baker Acted from our public schools. I worked with Senator Harrell, a Republican from across the state, to pass this bill, and we got that done. And worked with Senator Albritton, a Republican from Citrus, to pass a bill to reduce the wait times for people who are going into long-term care who have Medicaid. And I'm going to continue to work with Senator Albritton this coming year on a second step of this bill to even generate some revenue for the Department of Elderly Affairs so that we can get good coverage and make sure that everybody has a safe place when they are seeking long-term care. And so we talked about, and that was the highlights, I think, of last session. Visit Florida, I advocated alongside Senator Hooper to continue to keep Visit Florida in statute and to fund it. We weren't successful at getting the full funding like we had wanted, but we did get $5 million worth of funding, which is better than zero, which is what they were threatening us with. And we're lucky. We feel really grateful that we were able to keep it in statute, keep it continuing for the next few years, and we'll continue to advocate for increasing Visit Florida's capacity, especially now with the economic and health downturn. When it comes to, and part of this is, Visit Florida traditionally has played a role in giving our local businesses relief during crises, during hurricanes. They would traditionally have extended grants, not loans, to our businesses during this economic downturn due to COVID. But because they are working on a skeletal budget, they weren't able to do that. We are in the phase 3 of reopening for the state for COVID cares. The governor came forward with the reopening plan a few weeks ago. And he did make a comment about masks, about civil penalties not being able to be upheld. That is true. And what is also true is that our county still has a mask ordinance. So I have been encouraging people to treat our business owners with respect and with civility, and continue to mask up until our county, because a lot of the crisis is being handled at the county level in terms of the ordinances and the rest. The other thing is our county has issued COVID cares for individual families up to $5,000 to pay their rent, their utilities, water bills. All you have to do is text COVID cares to 898-211 if you're an individual family. This is pertinent information right now because a lot of the utility companies are going and turning off electricity and water and the like. And so if people aren't paying those bills, now the repercussions are coming. And so if you're somebody who has lost wages or lost income due to COVID, you can apply for this. It's an easy process. It does take a little bit of time. If you need help, please reach out to my office, jennifer.webb@myfloridahouse.gov, or contact me directly, 727-320-6275. Also, what the county has done is they've issued up to $10,000 grant for businesses that have been that were directly impacted by COVID, especially those businesses like so many of ours in District 69 that were shut down for the month or for a few months. And so business owners can go online. They go to pinellascounty.gov. You can go online and you can see go to the COVID resources and apply for COVID cares relief for your business through the EDC. It's intended to be a simple process. It's intended to be a wide net to get as many businesses and as many families, to cover as many businesses and families as possible. The final program that I want to talk a little bit about is the Department of Economic Opportunity. A lot of our businesses are coming back online, and they're bringing their workers back, but they're not able to bring them back at 100%, 100% of their pay that they were at prior to COVID, or 100% of their hours. If you're a business and you're bringing back your workers at 60 to 90% of their hours prior to COVID, the state will help cover the remainder. And this is a program that actually I will get to y'all's city manager so that he can share it with all of you. It's a great program. It's intended to help you pull your workforce back in and to cover the cost so that your workers are getting their full pay, but you're not having to shoulder all of that expense. And then finally, my office is still helping about 500 residents with getting their back unemployment. And if you know of anyone, please send them to my office. We are working day in and day out. This is our priority for the month of October. On Wednesdays, I am doing a virtual career fair, highlighting industries that have been proven to be recession-proof and pandemic-proof in the Tampa Bay area that also provide really solid wages and a career ladder. This month is Manufacturers Month, and so we've been focusing on different manufacturers in the region, and that's Wednesdays from 5 to 6 on my Facebook page at Jennifer Webb FL, and I will pull all of those. I record them all of the conversations, and put them in a folder so that you can find them all in one spot. This coming session, we anticipate having a special session to talk about liability insurance for businesses. I'm also encouraging us to talk about workman's comp, because there's been disproportionate application of workman's comp going into throughout this pandemic, and I think that's going to create a problem. If we go into special session, it won't be until after the election. They may turn or our organizing session in November into a special session where we actually pass some legislation. And then finally, as y'all know, last year I was able to get y'all money finally for the groin. And unfortunately, with the economic downturn, the governor did veto that spending item. But, I am, as always, at your service, willing to work with you and with your city manager to make sure that Madeira has what it needs to be successful. Do y'all have any questions?
I do, Representative Webb. This is John Hendricks. You and I have spoken about the beach groins and the sand issues in Johns Pass. And we've spoken with Senator Brandeis. We would love to see that back on your agenda and Senator Brandeis' agenda to put it on the governor's desk again to try to get our groins redone. And anything we can get done, anything you can help us with in pushing this uphill, either to the state or to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, we will take all the help we can get in pushing this uphill, because we're getting in dire straits in Johns Pass. You've been in a meeting with me and county officials and several state officials, and I know we're going to have another one coming up very soon. I'm sure I'll see you there, but we need to continue to push with other agencies on getting this problem corrected, because it's been an ongoing problem that we've been screaming about for years, and we really need the help. So we really need your support on that.
Well, and I will continue to work with you and with the business owners in Johns Pass and with the county to find solutions and to put pressure on Army Corps of Engineers and on the federal government. The other thing that I'm looking into is other engineering solutions that are available. And I've reached out to Congressman Bilirakis's office, because he was able to get money to clear the Anclote River, and which is also not federal waters, because everybody passes the buck, unfortunately. And so I'm trying to nail down people and figure out successful strategies, because I absolutely appreciate that y'all are in dire straits, and you have my commitment to continue to work on this and to be available and accessible on this issue. However, whatever y'all need, I'm on it, and I'm constantly chipping away at strategies for getting this done.
Okay, thank you. Stormwater system. Our aging stormwater system needs replacing, and we need to try to get some funding or grants for that. So if you can follow up on that for us, it would be appreciated also. You're going to have a list like I've got for our next workshop.
Is y'all's stormwater system, do y'all have any roadwork projects coming down the main street there? Not on Gulf Boulevard. I think that's been done in fairly recent years, but in our residential areas, we've got a lot coming up. Okay.
In fact, we've got one is underway right now, and then when that finishes up, we'll have others starting.
Okay. Okay.
Actually, I think we did get notice of some work on Gulf Boulevard in front of John's Pass all the way to 135th for end of October.
Is that Happy?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Happy. Hi, Councilwoman. Nice to see you. Okay.
Hey, nice to hear your voice.
Well, and I will reach out to, if you can get me that notice, I'll circle back with y'all after this meeting to just make sure that we are being as thoughtful with any kind of infrastructure projects as possible to reduce costs. So if there's any stormwater system improvements that have to happen in that stretch of road, that we're doing that at the same time that we're replacing that road. And I am happy to circle back after this meeting and make sure that happens, okay?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have anything for Representative Webb while she's here?
Nope, I think you covered it well. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And I want to formally welcome all of the new members to council. It's good to see you all and or almost all of you in your seats. And y'all be well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Take care.
Next is a presentation by the 9/11 Committee.
Hello.
How are you tonight?
Great. Where's my team? Done. Guy. Yes. Please come.
Hello, Guy.
Hi. Good evening. My name is Dee Lay. I've lived in Madeira Beach 41 years at 724 Sunset Cove. And I'm volunteer on the 9/11 Memorial Site team. And we're here to introduce ourselves to the new mayor and commissioners. Trias from 41 years ago. Remember him? I also say there's 3 more members. One is Steve Kochek. He was on the build committee originally, and he is still working on volunteering on our team. Our team was formed in 2017 for the sole purpose of completion, preservation, and promotion of the 9/11 Memorial here in Madeira Beach. My deceased husband is Dewey Lay. He was very patriotic, very loved his country, and he loved Madeira Beach with all his heart. And he was a commissioner back in the day. Activities. He was responsible for the flags you see up and down Gulf Boulevard during Memorial Day and through 4th of July for the U.S. holidays, and they used to call him the Flag Man if they didn't know his name. In 2009, he was responsible for the initial contacts to obtain the World Trade Center artifact from the New York Port Authority. The artifacts were being offered to municipalities and fire departments. And so I'm part of the team to continue on the work my husband began and to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Mayor's Commission, everyone. We thank you very much for all the support you guys given us on 9/11. We love it. I'm a resident of Madeira Beach. I'm going to be here for a long time. And I wanted to be part of it, like I was part of it, for the first shovel we put in the ground, from the beginning to today. So we do a little fundraiser here and there, and we have these T-shirts that we're going to sell in the Seafood Festival. And I hope all city of Madeira Beach, they will buy these.
Oh.
They're beautiful T-shirts. I think everybody should have one of them. You know, they don't cost a lot. I mean, everybody buys T-shirts, so it'd be like a good thing to help. Because this coming year is going to be the 20-year anniversary, so we want to make a big bless. Drinks and maybe the cookies, donuts for everyone that welcome there to show them that we appreciate the people come to Madeira Beach. And I hope be successful year, and we're all going to be together and happy. And we thank you very much for your support, and we'll see you on John's Pest Seafood Festival with the shirt.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor Hendricks, Vice Mayor Andrews, City Manager, and all the commissioners, thank you again for having us. My name is Ken Donofrio. Was a Madeira Beach resident since 1973. I lived here for 45 years and just recently moved to Bel Air Bluffs with my wife in 2018. And in those 45 years, Dee and her husband became like my second parents. So I was with Dewey, and I think it was a little understated about all the fight he went through to get those flags from Clearwater Beach all the way to Paso Grill. But that was the type of man Dewey was. So when he did this memorial, he had gotten sick, and even in his hospital stretcher, when the thing was finished, he came and he saw it as it was finished. And I also promised him on that day that I would help continue to work with his wife, Dee, and I also promised her that I would help promote and finish and preserve the memorial. But I want to thank this administration for your incredible support, and something Mayor Hendricks, Vice Mayor Andrews, Commissioner Price, your tributes that you posted on Facebook for 9/11 on that day were amazing. And I want to thank you for that, because not only tributes, but personal stories as well. I bring advertising and marketing to the group. I have an advertising agency, and I've been in the business for about 38 years. I have an agency in Seminole that's getting ready to celebrate 20 years, and I help them with that brochure that you see. I did the layout, my photographer did all the photography, and we're getting ready to update it for the anniversary. I also help put together the banners and the T-shirts that you see, and I do this for free, obviously. This year, as part of the incredible team the city's put together, which includes the city manager, Chief Belk, Jay from Recreation, and a few other people, we're considering a potential fundraiser in addition to the stuff that we normally do, we normally go out to like John's Pass and to the Seafood Festival and try to raise funds. And that helps, but this year, because of the event we want to put on in 2021 for the anniversary, we want to try to possibly do another event, and we're just kicking that idea around right now, possibly a concert in Rock Park or something that we can do to raise money. But we're going to continue to meet with this group through 2021 and be an active part of putting this great event together, and it's our honor to do that. Because again, like I said, I speak for everyone when I say that we really thank you for your support. And we'll keep you updated. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't want to be out of line here, but it may help the park. I wondered where Causeway Park was when somebody was telling me to meet them over at Causeway Park. I would love to see that, the 9/11 Memorial Park. And, because everybody knows where that is. So maybe we can get that on an agenda and get that done and get it, hopefully, if everybody agrees, we can get it done before you do a lot of printing. How do you guys feel about that? Yeah. Okay.
If you can get a parking sign or an entrance sign, that's my cause. There is no...
Does that parking sign need your name on it? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is public comment. Does anyone have any public comment for things that are not on tonight's agenda? City Manager, do you have any electronic correspondence for comments?
Yes, we get approximately 45 different emails dealing with the Johns Pass sand issue, and they are on file with the clerk, and I believe each one of the commissioners and the mayor has a copy of it. I just want to take a minute to just run through the names so that I can call them into the record and aware of the problem. We've had several meetings with it, and as you could tell from the phone call or the Zoom meeting with Representative Webb, we've been soliciting help from all different avenues of our government, state and federal, and we'll continue to do that. So just to read through the names, this is from, the first one was Butch, and if I mispronunciate the name, I apologize. It's Kiernan from Emerson Avenue in St. Petersburg. Another one from Jennifer Roberts from Tampa, Palm Springs Boulevard. This is Dejana Viadak and 171 Medallion Boulevard. Francine Breton, Breton, from Umberton Road in Largo. And some of these are fisher people and men. I don't want to just say men, but they're in the fishing industry or the sport fishing charters, and they use the pass, and they've been noticing the problem as well. So another one's Crystal Wood from Tampa, Tibby Farnsworth, Kyle Hayden from Tolano, Illinois. So I'm assuming this must be one of our tourists, possibly, or dual resident. Land O'Lakes, Florida, William Burchard. Steve Miller from St. Petersburg. Howard Baines from Tampa. Dave Larson from Tampa. Don Lawman from Michigan. Penny Swigger from West Virginia. James Gagliano from Nokomis. Gloria Stanley from Holiday. Lee Lance from Seymour, Tennessee, Melissa Rose from Seminole, Maryland, Phil Brightus from Pembroke Pines, Cedar Goldsmith from St. Petersburg, William Murphy from Madeira Beach here on 14950 South Gulf Drive, Patricia Kincaid from Minnesota, Cole Owens from Gilbert, Arizona, Jerry Farmer from Dayton, Ohio, Fritz Schilling from Sun City Center, Angie Starcher from Lake Wales, Melinda Crosby from Valrico, Gina Galetti from Madeira Beach, 4936 Miramar Drive, Nick Techleave from Kentucky, Christina Hubbard from Hillsboro, Ohio, Sturgos from Sarasota, James Davis from Hilliard, Florida, Amanda from Tennessee, Ralph Stevens from Ohio, Julia Gino from Largo, Bonnie Kornak from St. Petersburg, Amanda Loiterman from Lakeland, Richard Turre from Jacksonville, Susan Irving from St. Petersburg, Raleigh Thomas from Palm Harbor, Jeff Spath from Seminole, Daniel Neto from Tampa, Marie Elman from Winter Haven, Irene Duda from New York, Jennifer Roberts from Tampa. Here's the last one. I can't get my fingers to work. There we go. Pamela Tondi from Illinois. And then I do have two other comments, but they're specific to items on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. City Clerk, will you place these in the public records? And we don't normally comment on the comments, but since we have so many of these, I do want folks to know that we're working very hard on it, and I would ask that these people that sent these emails also send them to your state rep, to your U.S. representative, to your United States Senator, so that we can try to get this pushed up. We've been working very hard at that. It's just that people don't see what's going on in the background. We've had a meeting with the county, the state, and we had a congressman's representative there. We're having another one on the 6th of November, getting a group together to try to see what we can do on getting funding and getting the Corps of Engineers involved and getting them to take that as on a regular maintenance agenda for the Corps of Engineers and get some other things done so that we don't have the sand coming in there. But we're pushing as hard as we can to push this up and get this problem taken care of. It didn't happen overnight. This has been going on for years. I've been here 34 years, and I've seen that sand move south. And when they extended the jetties on the south side of Johns Pass, it started, I think it contributed to the problem to where it's scooping sand into the pass. When the tide comes in, it's bringing sand in with it. The north jetties were supposed to have been extended that time, but for whatever reason, that project got canceled. We've never gotten money for renourishment, but now our groins are getting worn out, and we're trying to get funding for those groins. As you know, the city is hurting financially right now, as is everyone. The businesses are hurting, and we want to do this for the businesses and the residents, but because you don't hear anything doesn't mean that there's not a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and we're working very hard at it. So I just wanted to fill you all in on some of that.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, and not to pile on this, but I do have a question. Besides this very thick, I've never seen this many comments coming forth to us at any time. Couple that with the 45 business owners that signed this. This has got a lot of interest, plus the news program. I don't want to harbor that, and I know that our long-term solution is building out the jetties and replacing the groins. We've got a short-term problem there now. And I've got to turn this to the city manager and Jamie. Is there anything that we can do? And yeah, I mean, I know it's going outside the realm here a little bit to help out a private business, but we've got businesses that are going to have to move boats and going to have to do different things here if we don't get the drainage issue figured out, and if we don't get, if we can help dig them out or I don't care if it's a Band-Aid at this point, but I think it would be a really, really good olive branch and a really good indictment of goodwill on our part if we go and try to do something a little extra to try to help these guys out. They've supported us. They haven't freaked out. I mean, this has been, Mr. Mayor has been 1,000% correct. It's been going on a while, and it's accelerated, and now we're kind of in no man's land. So is there anything that we can do at this point as a city, especially since you got us all up here to vote on it tonight, is there anything that we can do as a city to go in and help these guys out and try to get them operational?
The first thing to solve the problem is to have the permits through DEP and Army Corps. Jamie can probably speak on the process on reference to that, but there is a party, the owner of the upland property, that has the permits already in hand. So it's trying to work with them. The problem we run into is Mother Nature. We could go in and, dredge the area, or the owner would come in and dredge it, but in 3 weeks, if we had a storm, we'd be back in the same spot. And that's kind of been the evidence that we have. But we were working on trying to get permits for it, and when we found out that they already exist, and they're with the upland owner. So that's why we've been trying to work with Army Corps and get on the regular maintenance program so we have it done. There's also a study. Again, those are more long-term. The problem is getting in there and getting it done and being authorized by the state to do it legally. Jamie, you want to come up and explain the permitting process, please?
Like the city manager alluded to, the upland owners have an open permit or a permit that they're able to reopen from a previous dredging that they had done a few years ago. I don't know the exact dates of it. From my understanding, like he alluded to again, is it's a very short term, it's a very expensive cost, and it's a matter of months before it fills back in. If it's something I don't want to speak out of line, but if it's something the city wishes to work something out, then that's essentially the board's decision. So it's the process goes, you have to show your limits of the dredging. Again, they already have all the surveys, all the stuff pre-approved over there, so it'd just be a matter of the upland owner applying for it. And again, if it's what you guys decide is the best course of action, then we could work something out.
Well, I brought up something a number of weeks ago. We have drains that are plugging up with sand, and the parking lots are not draining, and the streets are not draining. And I asked a number of weeks ago to get something done there. And I think part of what we need to do as a temporary fix is to get a culvert run out to the water so that those drains aren't plugging up. That in itself is going to help the businesses some, but that hasn't been done.
Again, any additional drainage structures that we would potentially place there would have to go through, it would have to go through a longer permitting process. It would be, a a pretty extensive expense to the city. We are looking at alternatives for a permanent solution. And, it's definitely, any option is something we'll consider. In the past, it's always been handled by a phone call, and then our staff will go out and remove the clog, and it's resolved within, 30 minutes or so. So it's...
And the next day, it's plugged again, Jamie.
I understand. Yes, sir, I understand. And it is a very temporary...
I would like to know how long we're going to continue to let our streets and parking lots plug.
Yes, sir. We are looking at alternatives for a more permanent solution.
Give me a date.
I can get you a proposal for engineering evaluation for it, and we can study all the alternatives.
How long is a study going to take?
I can't give you those answers.
For me, I want that drainage problem fixed.
I understand.
Thank you.
We will work on it.
Well, I understand we're cleaning out that sand multiple times a week as it stands now. It's not raining every day for that to be that clogged up. It's not so much the sand going up into it.
It's the sand coming in from the inlet that's plugging it up.
But there's more than that one.
It covers the states and it covers the cities. You can go down there, it can be dug out. They're going there, a guy's going there with a shovel and digging a little trench. And by the next day, when the tide comes in, it's filled in with sand again. It's literally covered. Maybe
we station a bobcat or something down there to keep that thing open. I mean, I'm just off the top. There's got to be something.
It's very frustrating to see government in action. I'm frustrated with it, and I don't mean to be mean to anybody, but it's time to get something done down there for sure. Now, if there's a concern about city property going onto private property, I'm sure the owner of the property down there will help, but I tell you, a culvert can't be that much, and I can go down there with a shovel and dig the trench myself if I have to, so we can get something done. Doug, you'll give me a hand, won't you?
Absolutely. No, I was told by the owner of Hubbard's that they've asked, and I understand that we have a policy about lending out equipment. They'll dig it out themselves if we give them the equipment, not a shovel, obviously, but if we give a bobcat or a backhoe or something like that. I mean, they're willing to do the work in order to do it. But I'm seeing pictures, and I walked down there the other day. These guys are pushing out their morning boat. It's taking them an hour. If the tide's not exactly perfect, they can't even get their morning charter out. That business has been there since 1926 or something. I don't know what the number is, but been there a heck of a long time. We certainly don't want them moving their boats somewhere else. So if that's something you guys be willing to do, willing to let them borrow the equipment to try to clear this out and try to create, just open up space for them. I don't know what the process is or what we'd have to do in order to do that, but we have the equipment. If we have the equipment and they think they can dig themselves out for the time being just to kind of keep the ball rolling and show some good faith on our end, I'm all for it.
Well, they've already moved one boat over to Gators. They've lost a slip again, another slip, and it's going to work itself down the boardwalk to all those businesses. So as those businesses fall there, so do a lot of the other businesses, because people are coming there to go on the pirate ship, go fishing, take a wave runner out, go parasailing, and going and finding a nice T-shirt, that's just a bonus, and the restaurants. So as business falls, we're going to have a domino effect there. We've got to get this moving. And I'm so frustrated in that when I ask about something, I get told we'll do a study on it. We need to get some stuff moving here, folks. That's just one man's opinion, not necessarily shared by all. But
who has authority to go out there and move that sand? is it the owner of the inland property?
Well, the owner's the one that has the
He's
passes.
the one that has
to
the
do it.
permit.
Yeah.
And, you
So
know,
have
he was
we-
at one of our meetings that he had, he even mentioned he's got the permit, and, you know, so what I just had as a note for myself, I want to recontact him, and maybe there's something we can do jointly with him, because he's the one that has the authority from the state to be there and be on the sand, so, you know, we can work with him through, you know, through Dylan and, you know, the whole group, and, you know, again, we know that's going to be a short-term fix, but I agree. I think we need to do something so we don't lose an economic part of our heart down in the village.
Yeah, and a historical part of our village. Pretty much started by the Hubbards and
Mr.
developed
City
by the
Manager,
Hubbards.
I have a question for you. The man who has the title for all this, what is his purpose for not doing this? I mean, I don't understand. Doesn't he see what's happening?
Apparently, they went and dredged at their expense before, and, you know, again, it's a short-term fix, so there was no, well, I'm not saying there was no plan to look for the long term. I think they've been trying for years and years from talking to everyone down there. But, you know, we've reached out to all, you know, several of the county commissioners. We've reached out to a lot of the state officials, and federally, we've had Charlie Crist down there. We've got, you know, some of the Senator Rubio. I got a communication today from him. And we have this meeting on the 6th to look at the long-term thing, but, you know, I don't think the 6th is going to cut it. So, you know, I think getting together with the landowner and Dylan and a member of the commission, and, you know, we'll move forward with it. I know the mayor's worked on it hard, and we've been trying to keep you involved in what's going on, just so you're aware of it, but I know you're interested in it. Just having two elected officials, and we notice problems, and so, but I think if you all will give me tomorrow to make some phone calls, and, you know, I think maybe that's the best route of going right now, and then seeing what we can do about getting our drainage to be more efficient.
Yeah, even if we dredge it, it's coming right back in, and that's the issue, is all this renourishment sand just keeps on coming. They can dredge it, and a month later, the sand's back in there.
How did you learn about how the south side jetty got extended and the north side jetty did not?
From Dylan Hubbard. He's got the information on it. That young man, I give him credit. He's on the ball, and he's got a lot of information going back years. And we got a packet from Kelly, who is the
Public Works Director
for the county, showing aerials back for a number of years. A part of the problem right there is when they replaced the bridge, they blew up the old pilings. They're laying there on bottom, and they're collecting a lot of the sand right there just on the east side of the bridge. Now, on the west side, they built an island to put the crane on for when they were building the bridge. A lot of that debris, if you go and look at the jetties along the parking lot, you'll see old pilings that they pulled and laid there. But and I remember when they were setting explosives down there and blowing a lot of that stuff up. And it's still there on the bottom, so it collects some. But whereas you used to take a boat and go between the rocks and the first pilings for the bridge, now it's beach.
Now you walk it,
Now it's beach, and we've got people out on there using it as a beach, and the currents are swift. And Chief Belt can tell you that's the #1 place for water rescues in the county. It's way up compared to what it used to be.
Yes.
Currents are getting stronger and stronger.
Do we have any indication that if we extend the north jetty, that will, I mean, if that was the plan to begin with, there must have been rationale for that.
Well,
why it didn't happen, maybe why we're having this problem now, which may hurry up this process.
Part of their concerns is what it's going to do to the beaches south of us. But they're getting renourishment
They're huge,
anyhow.
though.
I would rather send more sand down their way. They need the sand. Certainly not up this way, but Sunset Beach needs sand. It's eroding. They can do a renourishment, and a month later, most of it's gone. So.
And as the mayor said, one of the strategies was even, Janet Long was, our county commissioner, was able to get a group together, and that's when we learned a lot about what happened with DOT when they built the bridge and some of the debris. And one of the strategies is to bring them to the table, and I think that was the key for the meeting on November the 6th, is having a representative there from DOT, FDM, or FDEP, the Environmental Protection, and also Army Corps. And those are really the three entities that deal with the permitting and getting on the maintenance agreement and also getting the problem fixed. But if we can get FDOT to see what the results are of their dumping pilings and so forth into the pass and where we're at now, that would be another avenue that we could get hopefully more immediate action because of money that they have up in Tallahassee for maintenance. But, that's November 6th, and we're dealing with tomorrow. So I think...
Well, I know the state of Florida has multiple beach renourishment
pots of money?
ships. They're factories pretty much out there. We don't need a huge, I've seen them large, I've seen them small. And all they do is suck up the sand and pipe it and dump it on the beach, and then it settles, all the shell settles and the sand comes to the top. I've seen it year after year being done at several beaches. If that machine can suck it out of the bay or the Gulf and dump it on the beach, why can't we get one to suck it out of our beach and deposit it, somewhere else on down the line, somewhere that needs it?
Believe it or not, we've asked the same question. They have what are called borrow pits offshore, which are the only places environmentally that they say they can take the sand from.
But if other...
It is a governmental quagmire.
Oh.
There's no other way to put it. They have to take the sand from their borrow pits. That's why we've got to get the federal government involved in this and getting something done, because dredging doesn't work. We never have renourishment, but we're getting all the sand, and it's coming straight in Johns Pass, and it's shoaling up the channel. And anybody that's a boater and has been here for a number of years knows that channel used to go straight out, and it doesn't anymore. You've got to turn south to get out of that channel because it's so shoaled up on the north side that there are waves breaking. You can go out there any day of the week, you'll see waves breaking on the north side of Johns Pass.
I saw that before the new bridge. I mean, they were always moving those markers.
Yeah, but it's even worse.
Right.
It's way south now. You almost, I wouldn't say you take a 90, but certainly you take a 79-degree turn. But it's a bad issue.
If anybody has any ideas, we know that there's a problem. Now we need to fix it quickly. I mean, it doesn't seem to me that it would be that difficult to get one of those to dredge it and have that sand removed in pretty short order, as long as we've got a permit and we're in dire straits here. We've got businesses in dire straits. I mean, what's it going to take? A death out there? A little kid getting washed out to the...
That's actually, we didn't have a death, but the Hubbards have actually gone out and rescued people that were getting swept out by those currents. As more sand comes in, the channel gets narrower, same amount of water's coming in and going out, so the currents get swifter.
Yeah.
So it's a dangerous situation. So, okay, time to move on.
Okay.
Next are public hearings. Will the city attorney please read the first ordinance, followed by the city manager's presentation?
This is ordinance 2020-20, an ordinance of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, amending Section 2-151 of the Code of Ordinances to amend the titles of administrative departments of the City of Madeira Beach and providing for an effective date. That was the second and final reading of that ordinance by title only.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners, when we met last month, we did the first reading on this ordinance. It's just primarily a housekeeping requirement, just making sure that we keep updated in the ordinance the titles that we use for the different departments. And we've been through it with the budget process, and I think this is just the last stage, because we required 2 readings on it. If you have any questions, I'll be more happy to answer them.
No, I remember.
Any discussion from the commission? Is there any public comment on this? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to pass ordinance number 2020-20 on the second reading and public hearing.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Hodges?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Andrews?
Yes.
Commissioner Douthat?
Yes.
Mayor Hendricks?
Yes. Passes 5-0.
Apologize for that. Motion carried 5-0.
Willis, you know what, I want to apologize. I did not ask for public comment on that, I don't think.
Yeah, you did.
I think you
Did
did.
I?
You did.
Okay. I'm still worked up about John's pass.
I know.
We can have the city attorney read the next ordinance.
Yeah.
Could I ask one question before you go on? This is the transmittal ordinance?
Yeah, this is ordinance 2020-21, amending the comprehensive plan to establish the definitions, plan elements, and so forth.
Yes, I didn't know if you wanted to read the whole thing just to continue the item. We were going to ask to continue. Is that necessary? Just because it's so long?
It is a public hearing.
Okay.
So we need to, and it has been advertised, so we probably should read it by title, get public comment, and then a motion to postpone, I guess, for, if you want to do that. But I'll go ahead and read the ordinance.
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is ordinance 2020-21. It is lengthy, so. An ordinance of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, amending the comprehensive plan of the City of Madeira Beach to establish definitions, renumber the plan elements, goals, objectives, and policies and strategies, to establish a unique enumeration system, amending the transportation, infrastructure, recreation, and open space intergovernmental coordination and capital improvements elements to establish new level of service standards for municipal area-wide culture and recreation, mobility, and public safety facilities and services, revising language for improved accessibility, amending the capital improvements element to update the Capital Improvements Program, CIP, and the 5-year schedule of capital improvements, renumbering Section 3.1 Goals, Objectives, and Policies to Section 3.0, retitled Comprehensive Plan Elements, amending Section 3.1 to be retitled Definitions, and providing for certain definitions, amending Section 3.2 Introduction, renumbering Section 3.3 Future Land Use Element to Section 4.0, renumbering Section 3.4 Transportation Element to Section 5.0, retitled Mobility Element, and amending goals and objectives and policies thereunder for more accessible language, to provide a level of service standard for improved municipal mobility facilities and services, a mobility plan, and the utilization of proportionate shared development fees, removing the stormwater management goals, objectives, and policies from Section 3.6 Infrastructure Element, relocating to Section 5.0 Mobility Element, and amending for more accessible language. Renumbering Section 3.5 Housing Element to Section 6.0, renumbering Section 3.6 Infrastructure Element to Section 7.0, and amending the goals, objectives, and policies thereunder for more accessible language, and amending level of service standards. Renumbering Section 3.7 Conservation and Coastal Management Element to Section 8.0, amending and renumbering Section 9.0, reserved, renumbering Section 3.8, open space and recreation element to Section 10.0, renaming Section 10.0, culture and recreation element, and amending the goals and objectives and policies thereunder for more accessible language, level of service standards, and utilization of proportionate share development fees, renumbering Section 3.9, intergovernmental coordination element to Section 11.0, and amending goals, objectives, and policies thereunder for more accessible language. Amending and renumbering Section 12.0, reserved, renumbering Section 3.10, capital improvements element to Section 13.0, amending the goals, objectives, and policies thereunder for more accessible language, to provide for a level of service standards, updating the capital improvement program CIP schedule of the capital improvements for fiscal years 2020 through 2021 through 2024 through 2025, and utilization of proportionate share development fees, renumbering Section 3.11 public school facilities element to Section 14.0, and providing for an effective date. That was a reading of Ordinance 2020-21 by title only.
Good evening. It should be no surprise what we're talking about here now. Right. Pretty much read the whole thing. This, of course, is your transmittal hearing. Those of you who've been in government and working with the government a long time know that we always have they're specifically named hearings for the comprehensive planning process. This is the one that you officially have a hearing and transmit it to the state for their review. What we are going to ask, however, is that you can open it up for public hearing, but we are going to ask you to continue it until the 28th for the remainder of the discussion, because in the process of review, it's typical that we would send everything up to the state, and at that time, all the state agencies in the county and the local government surrounding us would make comment on the plan. We did not realize, because I haven't done this within the last few years here in this county, that in Pinellas' case, it's special, and there's legislation requiring our cooperation with the county in a different way. So the county planning staff will have the opportunity to review it when the state does, but the county's MPO staff gets to review it early. We were not aware of that. So they needed a 21-day period to review everything and get comments back to us. We had already advertised this, because you have to advertise way out. We'd like very much to we just got this afternoon, got their comments back. They've just made some really minor corrections to titles of their own program. They're very supportive of it, but we do need time to put that in and bring that back to you and continue the hearing at a later date. We'd like to continue it as opposed to just cancel it and start over, because it's a quarter-page ad. It's already been advertised. If there are people here, by all means, we'd like to hear what they have to say, but we also want to continue to encourage others to come out for the rest of the conversation.
And when were you looking for it to be postponed to?
For a special meeting on October 28th to be held at, my understanding is 5 p.m.
Yes, I was going to ask the commission at the end of this, the decision to table, if we could do that. That way we can keep the advertising current, and, we'll do the public, I guess the recommendation, we do the public hearing portion right now, and then we'll pick it up again with any additional public hearing, and then go through the presentation that Linda would have. So I'm asking for your permission as well to, which is really a separate item, but to have that special meeting. We have a workshop, as we know, that day, so it's not like I'm bringing you in for a meeting on a day that you weren't planning on being with us anyhow. It just will be early again, so.
Okay. A little direction. Should I go ahead and ask for public input tonight then? Yes. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Linda. Is there any public comment on this?
I have 2 electronic ones.
Okay. Thank you.
May I?
Yes, please.
The first one is from Mr. Dick Lewis, 561 Crystal Drive. Mr. Lewis states he has an editorial suggestion concerning ordinance 2020-21. The ordinance preamble on page 40 of the CIP has an unconventional reference to fiscal years as fiscal years 2020 to 21 through 2024 through 25. Suggests that fiscal year 2021 through fiscal year 2025 be utilized. Also, on top of the reference to FYE 2018 needs clarification. Regards, Dick Lewis. And I have one more. Actually, I have two from Mr. William Gay, 423 150th Avenue. I believe they're both the same, but this one seems a little bit more detailed, so I'll read this one. It's item 7B, ordinance 2020-20, page 11 of the ordinance, policy 5.1.6.7, reduced to travel lanes on Tom Stewart Causeway to 4 lanes with on-street parking. Policy 5.1.6.8, sidewalks on both sides of Tom Stewart Causeway must be designed for comfort and safety with planting strips. Questions. All condos and approved developments on the causeway have adequate on-site parking. What is the rationale for on-street causeway parking? How many parking spaces would be created on each side of the causeway? How much would it cost the city to expand the causeway for parking? 2, how much wider will the causeway need to be to accommodate 2 lanes of parking and 4 lanes of traffic? What is the current width of the road proposed and the proposed road? What is the proposed boundaries of the parking area, east to west? Will the parking spaces be metered and revenue producing? 3, will the city need to appropriate land from Madeira Cove, Boca Vista, Snug Harbor, the commercial condos, and the real estate office on the south side of the causeway to add the parking lanes? How much land will be needed to be purchased to accomplish the plan? Will the land be acquired by eminent domain? 4, what analysis has the city done to determine if the elimination of the center turn lanes will improve or degrade vehicle and pedestrian safety? 5, what impact will the elimination of the center turn lanes have on traffic flow? Has the city conducted a study? What data was analyzed? Has FDOT studied the parking proposal and offered an opinion? 6, what impact will the elimination of center turn lanes have on the egress and ingress of the residents and visitors who currently live, work, or visit on the causeway? He lists 1 hotel, 130 rooms, 5 residential condo complexes, 200-plus occupancies, 1 office building, multiple units, 1 business condo complex, 8 occupancies, 3 marinas, 200-plus slips, 2 restaurants, 100-plus diners, 1 townhouse development, 12 units, 1 city park, 9/11 Memorial Fishing Pier, 1 convenience store, MBTC, Madeira Beach Marina, pedestrian safety, 7, pedestrian safety, assuming parking will be on both sides of the causeway. What does the city propose to do to create convenient, controlled crosswalks for pedestrians? How many crosswalks are needed? Where will the crosswalks be located? That's the end of the comment.
Okay. Is there any input from the commission?
Yes, I've got some questions. On the same kind of thing like that was just talked about, 5.1.6.7, they're talking about expanding Tom Stewart, but has that been approved by FDOT yet? Why are we putting it into an ordinance if it has not been approved by FDOT? That's number 1. Number 2 is in 5.1.7.1, I don't know what intermodal terminals are, and I'm asking, what is an interterminal modem? Intermodem terminal.
Director Portell.
Some of the changes that are recommended are things that are long-term options or policies to be considered. These were policies that were in the plan, the master plan that the city adopted in concept in 2003 following a study and proposal made by Andres Duani in 2002. And these are some of the policies that were in there. And so we proposed the whole master plan to the Planning Commission to look at with the understanding that the intent there had been to do improvements on 150th as you got closer to Gulf to create a sense that you had arrived somewhere instead of just at an intersection of two state highways, which is basically what state roadway improvements had done over the years. We know there's a lot of trouble down there and constantly concerned with pedestrians and the interactions with the traffic, especially turning right onto 150th headed out of town. We get a lot of concern about that. So when the Duani group came in, they proposed slowing traffic, there are ways to do that with putting parking along the sides and things. There wasn't any major engineering study, for one thing. Secondly, it's a state road, and the city can't do anything on its own at all. We could have a policy that we're interested in that and the potential for that, but it would be dependent upon the study being done and DOT even agreeing to it to begin with. Those are just options to slow traffic and to make it work a little bit more like local traffic as opposed to the dead end on a highway. And we've all talked about the speed along there. Also, in regards to, intermodal terminals. An intermodal terminal would be a place that the bus stopped, but you also had other taxi stops or some place where ferries were coming in. We just want to make sure that we consider whenever we're putting in those kind of stops that we consider there's more than one way to get to a place with bicycles or scooters and things that come up all the time. We need a place that everything can get to and that everybody's safe moving through that. The purpose in these policies is to make sure that our plan says something about how we're improving the community and making it more mobile by something other than just fast-moving cars. So that's the purpose in intermodal terminals, making sure that wherever we have terminals of any kind of mass transit or trolley systems in the buses and everything, that those terminals serve all those purposes and they're safe to walk through.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. Linda, I got two really quick questions. I had the same two that John actually had circled. Commissioner Douthert had circled. Policy 5.1.6.7. Is this new, or is this from that agreement you're talking about?
It's from the old.
It's from the old agreement. So this is actually already something that we had in the books, and we haven't changed the wording or anything.
Well, it's from the master plan, not from your old comprehensive plan. You had this master plan with a big charrette process in 2002. The city paid $250,000 for the process.
Right.
And then I think most of you have seen the book. I've shared it with you. And in that, this is one of the proposals out of that. The city had voted to adopt it in concept, so we had to bring it forward as having been part of your community planning process for analysis. You can take policies out. That one is definitely not critical towards moving towards any change because we really can't accomplish it in any quick way. And again, but until you did the study, you wouldn't know whether you wanted to accomplish it.
So, but like I said, but this was already there before we dove into this.
As a concept.
Since 2003, this has already been part of something great. My second question, and it's just as easy and probably as quick, at the end of all of this, so when we go through this public hearing and we do it, what exactly are we voting on? You already said that kind of, and you can read into that the future land use element of this is, so it's kind of a wish list, or is that a fair way to put it? It's something that we'd like maybe to do, maybe at some time.
When you adopt policies, you've got to have a means of accomplishing them or a plan to attempt them. And when they're calling for something such as that, you know. And you're supposed to figure out a way to pay for them over time as well. Whenever you do your comp plan, all of your policies should be in some way either implementable or at least you're studying them to scientifically to figure out whether they need to stay in or come out of the plan. So this is your really kind of your first effort towards the data and analysis effort or the change amendment effort you have to make with your EAR, which is your evaluation and appraisal report. We have in May of '22 to turn in a new comp plan with evaluation and appraisal report, new policies to show how we're updating everything, the whole thing. And since you, as a commission and the previous commissioner, had expressed an interest in the impact fees and in making sure that we were kind of up to date and had the ability to get financing in for changes that come as a result of development. In order to have impact fees, you first have to go through your entire comp plan, establish reasonable updated levels of service, do enough of a study to show to the state that there was a basis for all of those levels of service and that you have a plan for implementing whatever changes you fund. Because if you collect money off of impact fees, it can't be just going into maintaining what you already have. It has to go towards some sort of improvement of that service. And so this is the plan on things you could use it on to improve services. So we had to have some kind of policy for developing all of these. Now, the first one you're looking at is dealing with mobility. After this, we're going to come back to you with the coastal elements and then the culture and recreation portion, and then also the public safety and public utilities. So this is what we're doing right now, is just dealing with the kind of funding and impact fee improvements that you'd be making with your comp plan. Over the course of the next 2 years, you're going to see a lot of us bringing back new data and then also new policies for
Excellent, excellent.
new plan.
Thank you, though. That cleared up a lot. I have other questions, but we'll wait until we get more in depth into this. But thank you. I appreciate that.
I encourage you to take the opportunity to read through this. And
Oh, yeah. Thanks for postponing it, though. I read it.
It's a great read.
Yeah.
So we also
Now I know what intermodal terminals are. I used to just call them bus stops.
well, that used to be all they were. All they were. Also, if any of you don't have a copy of that master plan document, we can get those to you as well. That'll be coming back to you, and I'm going to be talking about that a little bit more later.
Okay. I don't know where we're ever going to put parking on Tom Stewart Causeway.
Yeah, that would be a tough one.
And bicycle lanes, I've never been a big fan of those. I just don't think you put a bicycle out where they can run competition with a 4,000-pound automobile. I think they ought to be on the sidewalk with the pedestrians, because if you hit a pedestrian, everybody gets skinned up. If you hit a car, you're dead. That's my thought on that.
We can talk about that in detail as we get deciding on changes if we are able to make them.
So,
Linda,
I got a question
for you.
Just a moment, John. Don't we already just have 2 lanes on 150th? 2 lanes on each side, traveling north and
Yeah, in some places it widens with turn lanes and things of that nature. You couldn't take all the turn lanes.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think turn lanes would be considered travel lanes, but I guess maybe they are.
Yes, correct. Yeah, it would be
crazy.
complex. Also, at the time that study was done, they weren't envisioning the changes that you've made and are being made because of the town center and the Holiday Isle developments. The intent really was that if you redeveloped all those areas, you would do it more in the style of the master plan.
Yes.
And that's not what happened. So when you came back and you did the special area plans for the downtown, you changed up the design that they were anticipating with this type of change. You can see in the master plan what the intent was in regards to kind of bringing bringing the traffic into like some kind of public square, or creating a square or a circle that people slowed the traffic way down and created an entry feature for the city. So it would have been an entirely different approach. And it's easily something that you should talk about and decide whether you do or do not even want in the plan. That's what
we make
we'll
a
be
slight
here for.
change to this policy then?
Yes, you can do that.
Yeah.
Sure.
If anything, I mean, eventually they're gonna have to build us a new bridge right there on Tom Stewart, right? That thing's getting old. So I think we should be thinking more in terms of, well, let's keep it 2 and 2. I'm just,
that's the,
no, we
that's
just gotta
the,
think ahead. For all we know.
Right. That's the other thing is over time.
Bridge.
Right.
And then we have to deal with that. So.
Exactly. You know, if you did have a new bridge being built, you'd want to participate in what kind of design, and it would have a tremendous impact on your existing development. You wouldn't want it coming in high and fast, because that's not going to support this new commercial you've got going up down there. You know, the more metered and careful the traffic is, the better. And remember that you're stretching higher intensity activity further towards the bridge, so there's going to be more people walking out there. We've got wider sidewalks. The entire area will be different.
Right.
Yeah. But, you know, and all of those things that were listed in Mr. Gay's letter, of course, would be part of any kind of study. It wouldn't be simple. DOT doesn't do anything quickly and without a great deal of thought.
Right.
Yeah.
We still have the walkway under the bridge, correct?
We do.
Right.
So we're just getting we're getting our house in order for on down the road.
Right, and
to be able to collect impact fees, that's what this is.
And what's been put in front of you is a list of what was in that original concept that the city approved, and this is the time in which you look it over and decide whether you want to say that, or you want to tweak it or remove it. But we do have to have some policies in there that show changes that would be made to make this a more mobile, multimodal city.
Thank you.
Linda, I had a question for you. This plan was done in 2002 and approved in 2003, so that's 17 years ago. Have we looked at updating it? It sounded like you kind of addressed that a little bit, updating it so it is, you know, things were a lot different back in 2002 versus today, and what's it going to be in 20 years? We don't know either. You know, are we talking about looking at that at all, you know, versus...
Oh, yeah. This is actually the process you will be in over the next 2 years, especially because we've discovered there's some differences in our comp plan land use and what the county thinks our comp plan land use should be, and we're going to have to go back and really probably put new land use on everything, because what they thought was our land use doesn't actually reflect what we've got built around town, or even the direction you were headed. So we're really going to have to look at the whole city. And this document really should just show you opportunities or options on design in the long run. A lot of it, the material is probably more appropriate to going into your land development code and thinking about how you like your lots designed and how your street fronts are going to, you know, develop or be improved, if you even have the opportunity to do that. So in regards to it changing over time, there was a change made to the plan. The portion that's downtown, when you adopted the special area plan for the town center area, that had the effect of doing something slightly different than was required or suggested by this master plan. And then again, that special area plan was amended in 2008, and then of course again in 2014 through 2016 for the current town center design. So that portion of it has undergone quite a bit of change. The rest of it, in terms of its impact really along traffic routes, the main traffic routes, or how residential streets or the frontage along Gulf Boulevard have not been addressed, but we will address it through this comprehensive planning process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So do we need a motion to?
You need
Yes.
a motion to postpone to August 28, 2020 at 5:15 PM.
October.
I'm sorry, October, did I say August?
Yes.
October, yeah.
Are we gonna be able to get it done in?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to postpone, the hearing, the public hearing of ordinance number 2020-21 until October 28th at 5:15 PM.
I'll second.
City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Price,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Andrews.
Yes.
Commissioner Douthat,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Mayor Hendricks.
Yes. Next order of business is approval of the consent agenda. Does any commissioner have anything they'd like to pull? I'd like to pull item C for further discussion under unfinished business.
No objection.
Okay, is there any discussion on that? Is there a motion to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agendas, items A and B, and deleting item C.
Is there a second?
Second.
City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Vice Mayor Andrews,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Commissioner Douthat,
Yes.
Commissioner Price,
Yes.
Mayor Hendricks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next is approval of the consent agenda.
We just did that.
The under 9, unfinished business, the item C would move to that.
Okay, sorry about that.
So I'll ask Jamie, Mr.
Next
Mayor,
is-
if it's okay, I'll ask him to come up and address the Broyhill.
Okay.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. As we discussed last time, the request is for a Broyhill pack and load, which will increase the efficiency and increase the safety for the collection of garbage along the beach. It will also help with the trash being pulled out due to the lids on the new containers that are proposed. I mean, are there any additional questions that you have that we'd, feel like you would need additional information on?
I'm just wondering if we need to spend this kind of money this year. That's my concern.
Jamie, I've got a question for you also. You said you wanted to get this in order to save labor and help the people. And you also said the trash cans weigh 96 pounds each. What happens when this truck breaks down? Who's going to lift those trash cans at that point? And it's mechanical. Sometime along the way, it's going to break down. So I don't understand how, in the long run, we're saving manpower or time or helping or the safety of the employees. Could you please explain?
Sure. I understand that there is a lot of moving parts, and there is a chance for breakdown. Luckily, we have a very skilled mechanic within the city that would be able to repair machine fairly quickly. If that's not the case, there are a lot of other municipalities around that utilize the same machine, and we could reach out to any number of them to see if, they'd be willing to assist us temporarily while it's down for maintenance. Another option would be we could bring out the 32-gallon cans that are currently out there and go back to the way that we were doing until the machine is fixed. Does that answer your question, Commissioner Souther?
Yeah, that answers my question, but I think I agree that the cost, and I just don't really see this working for the benefit of the city at this point. If it breaks down, it could be down for quite a while. It could be down for one day or half a day, but it could also be down for a length of time. Or have you talked to the other cities and see if they're willing to loan us their equipment? I know, they've got to do their beaches also. So I just have some heartburn with this, but thank you.
Don't we already have this in the budget? Yes. And I thought we talked about it and decided it was a better idea to have larger trash cans everywhere and also to save. And I'm not very concerned with a brand new truck breaking down, frankly, myself. I'd like to see some brand new trash cans out there with lids on them and things of that nature. So I'm still in favor of it.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, Commissioner Price, I agree with you. I've been a fan of this since these guys proposed this. It does cut down on man hours. While I agree that any kind of mechanical failure is always a problem, I don't think you buy equipment going into that. And Jamie's 1,000% correct. We've got the best mechanic in the business as far as trying to get it back uploaded. And I think his backup plan, keep the old cans around, that if we have to, we go that way. But I think the real major portion and one of the selling issues to me was we've made a very, very big push to get trash off the beach and to keep our city clean. Well, these cans are about 3 times the size of the other ones. They're actually making a presentation to us to make it easier for us to store more garbage. Because, our issue isn't, we don't have places to put garbage. Our issue is we can't get to it at night, and then the crows get into it, and there's not enough area to put all the cans and all the garbage and everything else on a busy summer day. So it's in the budget. I think these guys have presented it perfectly to us. I'm all for it.
Is there any public comment on this? Is there a motion from the commission?
I'll make a motion that we purchase the load and pack Broyhill Beach garbage collection system.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Andrews?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges?
Yes.
Commissioner Douthat?
No.
Mayor Hendricks?
Yes.
The motion carried 4-1.
Next is new business. Item A, recommendation from the Auditor Selection Committee. RFP number 20-06, Financial Auditing Services. Start the negotiation process with the top 3 audit firms selected by the Audit Selection Committee at its September 14th, 2020 meeting. Number 1, James Moore and Company. Number 2, CSNL. Number 3, Wells Hauser and Schatzel. I guess I pronounced that right. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I know this seems repetitious because you all have sat as the Auditor Selection Committee, but now it's time to take the official action as sitting as the Board of Commissioners, receiving the recommendation from the Audit Selection Committee, and then deciding what process you want to follow as a Board of Commissioners.
Is there any discussion from the commission on this?
Do you all have any questions for the chairman of the?
How the heck did this happen?
Is there any public comment on this?
Public comment, Mayor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Step up to the podium, please.
Good evening, Zach Shalafor, partner with James Moore and Company. We did want to attend the meeting just in case there were any questions or otherwise, but we look forward to the opportunity to hopefully work with the city, and thank you for the opportunity to propose.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You had a good presentation, a good RFP.
You said you were going to cut that price in half, correct?
Yeah.
Start the negotiation.
So this is just to accept the 1, 2, 3?
Well, you have the 3 finalists. That the committee had to bring you 3 finalists.
Right.
Now, what you do with it, you could take number 1 and negotiate with the number 1 to come back with a contract, or if you decided you didn't like what the committee, which is yourselves,
yeah,
you could change that. But my assumption is you'd probably want to go with the latter and look at James Moore and come up with a contract. Is that appropriate?
You really should do all 3 of them in order, and the reason being is if you're not successful in negotiating an appropriate contract with company number 1, you can move immediately into company number 2 without, going back to the Auditor Selection Committee again.
So just to clarify, the recommendation would be then to go ahead and accept the ranking that the committee supplied to you, and then start out at number 1 and work your way down if you have to, correct?
That's correct.
And is a motion needed?
Yes, we're going to need a motion.
Okay.
Can I have a motion, please?
I'll try. I recommend we accept the ranking from the Audit Committee, Selection Committee, and that we request proposed contracts from all 3 of the finalists.
No, we're actually going to just you're just going to authorize negotiation with the first.
Oh, authorize negotiation with the first one, but we're going to ask all 3 for contracts?
You're accepting the recommendation 1, 2, and 3, when you're just authorizing negotiation with 1 at this point. So.
Okay. I misunderstood you earlier when you
Okay.
said you don't want to go back and.
Right, we don't want to go back to figure out which.
Got it.
If you fail negotiating with number 1, who are you going to begin to negotiate with now? Well, you're going to negotiate with number 2, which is CS&L.
Got it. Right. I will rephrase. I will start again with my motion to accept the rankings of 1, 2, and 3 from the Auditor Selection Committee and begin negotiations with the first selection.
Perfect.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
City Clerk, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Price,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Andrews,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Commissioner Douther,
Yes.
Mayor Hendricks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next is a presentation on the proposed data analysis and policy amendments to the mobility element.
Hello again.
Hello.
So earlier, we were making reference to that master plan that we were bringing to the commission and back out into the public for everyone to look at and decide whether they were still committed to it. And the first effort towards updating our comprehensive plan needed to be the mobility or the transportation element, because we were working towards impact fees and that, that sort of thing anyway. Also because mobility here impacts not just how automobiles and people move, but actually has a big impact on our land use and also just our facility improvement, because our drainage and every stormwater runoff, everything is tied into our roadways. So we decided to start with mobility. And the first, what you have in front of you, we're not asking you to vote on anything, but just to update you on the process we're using to update your plan. Your comprehensive plan data and analysis has not been updated since it was first written in 1989. I recognize it because it was my staff that wrote it. And so each time you've gone through your updated plan, all you've been doing is updating your policies. So it's way past time we really look at what situation you're in here, especially since back in '89, I promise you we were not talking about sea level rise and had no idea what we were up against for the future. So we really need to look at those things seriously now. Everything that we've learned since then needs to go into your data and analysis. The other issue is that a lot of your policies were designed to meet the requirements of 9J5 and 163 at the time, back in the 80s. And we've changed a lot, not only in the community, but just throughout the state as to what we expect our plans to do for us and what we understand ourselves being able to provide to the community. So the policies need to be updated as well. So what we were doing is helping the Planning Commission look at that master plan that had all that concept that the commission had agreed to, and comparing it to the policies that were written way back when, and trying to merge and update. You know, how do we update the policy based on the concept that they do or do not support, and then bring you something that is better organized based on current needs and desires, and also numbered better, because somewhere along the line they changed all the numbering to make every element the same as every other element, and you can't find anything in it anymore. So some of it's just cleanup, but mainly we're trying to merge a updated sense of concept with the policies that you are required to have, and update those as well. So you'll see that there list of suggested changes, and also we're providing a matrix that shows what the policy number used to be, what goal or objective it's going to be accomplishing, and what its new number will be, so that if, you know, especially as the state goes through reviewing things, they'll be able to find everything, make sure that we're actually meeting the requirements, because 163 still includes a long list of things we have to have in each plan. And we have to make sure all of those policy statements are in there somewhere. It makes it a lot better if they know where to find things when they do their review. When you get your final version back, you won't have to have all of that, because you'll have a cleaned up version with new policy that, you know, conforms to what your expectations are for the time period from now through the next 20 years. So this was mainly an update, just to let you know the direction we're taking. You'll be seeing, as I said before, a lot of this, matrices and cross-out underlines, and we will bring those elements back to you one at a time or two at a time if they're related to each other. I have been devising a complete schedule, and I will get that into the city manager's hands for reports, so you can see just what we go through and what the long-term plan for getting the whole comp plan to you is going to be. It's pretty complex because it has so many of its own requirements for hearings and advertisement and things like that. But getting it all lined up so it comes back to you together is going to be the key. And in this first round, we're bringing you this information because it will go into the impact fee ordinance when we get it to you, and that ordinance is timed so that it will be adopted at the same time we get back the level of service ordinance that we've started a hearing on back from the state so that you can adopt the two of them together and make them, and begin implementing them immediately.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. You've been very busy, and so is our planning commission, for that matter. They've got a lot on their plate. I really appreciate
Director
your work.
Portell, what are you doing in your spare time?
Yeah.
I don't see how you keep up with all of this.
Yeah.
I just sleep.
Okay. Thank
you very much.
Next is staff reports. Mr. Laughlin.
Okay, good evening. So as you all know, the budget preparation and adoption process is over. And now we are full swing into the fiscal year end closing and preparation for the audit. So like with most recurring experiences in my life, I like to self-reflect and think about, well, now that the process is over, what can I do to help make the process better going forward? So to that effect, I do really appreciate Commissioner Andrews' comments from the agenda setting portion, saying that he'd like to see some improvements, and I'm wholeheartedly concur. As you know, I came in midstream in the process and just try to kind of follow along with how the layout of the budget information, how things have gone procedurally, try to just follow how it's been doing. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm here for you, and I want to make sure how you all see the process, both frequency of budget workshops, the type of information that you're presented, the availability of department heads, of course, all those things, all the way to the final adopted budget. I want to make sure it meets your expectations, otherwise I'm not doing my job. So I sincerely welcome your constructive feedback as we kind of reflect on how things went in the last few months and getting the budget adopted, which we did accomplish, but again, I want to strive to improve that for the future. So definitely welcome the opportunity to sit down with you all and get your feedback on that, because it's very important to me. And speaking of adopted budget, that is official and final, and it has been posted on the city's website. Again, it kind of mirrors the adopted budget from the previous fiscal year. But again, I'd really encourage you all to look through that. You'll be getting copies, nice bound, spiraled copies of the budget book, each of you individually. Encourage you to look through it, and please give me any critical feedback that you feel, the things that you want to see changed in it, either stricken, amended, more narrative here or there. Like I said, take it very seriously, because I want to improve the document for you all and for the citizens in general. So with that said, I also have presented, we have the September 2020 financial report that is in your agenda packet. All in all, if you look at the final 3 pages, pages 6, 7, and 8, this is now through September 2020. Now, mind you, these aren't final year-end auditable numbers. We're still going through our closing process, which means there's going to be some additional receivables, accruals, other kind of closing year-end entries that we'll be recording that could affect some of these revenue and expense balances. But all in all, this is pretty near final, and the news for the most part is pretty good. So in terms of revenue projections to actual compared to expenditures, most of the funds that are presented here have positive change in fund balance or net position, except the few that do not. It was budgeted in that manner. So I don't see anything concerning that came out of this. Of course, we are a little under budget on some revenues, but on other revenues we're over budget. On the expense side, that's broken out by department on page 1, by fund on page 2. Just about every department on page 1 has not exceeded budget. There are a few very small exceptions that you can see here on page 1. State law requires that within 60 days after year end, if there are any budget amendments, we can make them up to 60 days after year end for that previous fiscal year. So in an upcoming meeting, I will be presenting you all with any final budget amendments based on the results. And with that, I also want to include a kind of a budgetary policy
on the how and the why and the when we're going to make budget transfers and amendments. So it's very clear to you all, to staff and everyone, as to how that process should go from start to finish. So look for that information in an upcoming meeting as well. I'll just take this time, if you all had a chance to review anything within the report, I can help explain any numbers or any variances that you might have concerns about or any questions you want to ask me on that. Otherwise, that's it for me, and look forward to, again, working with you all and getting the budget process for FY 21-22 certainly better than it's been in the past.
Mr. Laughlin, I have something I want to ask you about. It's probably more of a comment, and I know the board. I'm going to play Grinch here, but this is a tight budget year for us, and originally we were talking about not giving pay increases, and I still feel like if there is a pay increase, it should be on merit, not just an across-the-board 2% raise. Frankly, the cost of living is only 1.3, so to give a 2% raise, I think, is way generous, and we've suffered the effect of Corona, as everyone else has, and in the meantime, our staff was getting paid time and a half for 2 months, and I just, and I know y'all are going to disagree with me, but I think we need to look at that again, because I feel like 2% is just out of line for this year.
My only comment to that is if it's a matter of affordability, we can afford it within the budget. If it's a matter of principle, then that's certainly a different point, and I respect that.
Well, again, I think it should be on a merit basis. That's just my opinion. And I, we're watching it. We went to the library saying that things were tight. We got that reduced. It's kind of, I think, hypocritical of us to come back after we've done that with the library, and we're cutting things, trying to keep the budget down, and then we're giving a 2% across the board raise, which is substantially over the cost of living. And like I say, I've got no problem with a merit raise if someone's really earning it, but a 2% across the board raise, I think, is just too much to be giving this year. I wish we were in a different financial situation and had plenty of money, but that's my feeling on it, which is just an opinion.
Hey, Andrew, I'm sorry, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind. Andrew, what does a 2% raise constitute dollar-wise in the budget? I knew he'd have it right there, this figure test.
I can certainly look that up and get you that in a matter of minutes.
Because I'm just curious, I don't know how big that number would be based on the amount of budget that we have going out to payroll. And we also got to remember too, we just approved the firemen at 2%. So I just want to know where we're at with this.
Well, they didn't get time and a half for 2 months, though.
Agree with you wholeheartedly on that.
So you're saying if we wanted to strike the 2% increase?
No, I didn't say I want to strike it. Just what would that number be? The 2% across the board represents what? Is it $100,000? Is it $30,000? Is it?
Sure. Okay. So if I hypothetically went from 2 to 0. All right, with 2% raise. My total budget was $28,147,000. And then we need a drum roll. You go even better. That'll put the pressure on me. Rough calculation, 52,400.
So all told for the city, 52,400. Okay, let's play this game. I can do this on my phone. So 1.3 is roughly 2/3 of 2%. So if the 1.3 is the cost of living increase, 2/3 of that would be 60 to 38. So we're actually talking about, over the cost of living, we're talking about another $14,000, roughly. Maybe a little bit more than that, say $16,000, I think it is. Okay, just so we know what the numbers are. I just wanted hard numbers before we start really digging into this anymore. And I know what you're saying about the merit part of it.
We could do a split plan. We could say 1% across the board, 1% give the power to our directors and department heads to decide who gets a little more.
Well, or do we reward the employees that have been out there putting in the 115, 120, 130%?
Well, we would be this way. It wouldn't be huge, but
well,
I'm all in favor of both types of raises, to be honest. I mean,
well, I would be too.
We only have 2%, and we got to play with that 2%. So we can give everybody 1% across the board raise, and then let the department heads decide who are the stars of the show, and give them more, and reward the folks that are working hard.
Yeah. Well, I'm just
this isn't a whole lot of money, so I don't know if that's much.
I'm just one vote, but I hate to, I just believe in merit increases when we've got people out there that are really doing a hard job, and in some cases carrying the weight of those that aren't necessarily doing the greatest job that they could do. Money's a great motivator for employees. It always was for me. That's why I went to work every day. But I would like to see it in the hand. For me, I would like to see it in the in the hands of the directors, so that they can reward their employees that they feel like are doing a stellar job for the city. And if they're not, they don't get any, or they don't get much of a raise. And even 2% is not that much of a raise, but in these times, when we were down $700,000 during the total shutdown, and we've got issues at Johns Pass and some of these other issues, and we haven't been able to generate a larger revenue stream yet, because that's going to take quite a while to get a high dry storage facility up and running. It's going to take a while to get a restaurant up and running, and other things that may be in the pipeline to generate revenue. All those things are going to take some time. I just think we need to be a little more prudent with the residents' money. That's just my feeling, and I'm just one vote.
These raises have already been instituted as of October 1st, right? Everything's been put into play already?
Right.
Okay. And we don't currently have, see, I agree with you on the merit part. I just think that if they're already in place, it's tough to reach into somebody's pocket and grab their money again. So I don't want to do that. What I would suggest, though, is we do put for next year, and we get this started right away, is we have a system of merit increases in order to do that, if that's the pleasure of the board. But I think right now, everybody's already, not saying spending their money already, but we can't reach into their pockets after we've already approved a budget that granted them a 2% raise.
Well, I think we shouldn't even be talking about what kind of raises there are. I think we should say, okay, 2%, we're gonna add 2% to the payroll and let the raises go as the department heads wants to do it. I don't even know why we're talking about merit versus cost of living versus anything. That's up to the people running this city as far as I'm concerned. But, like you said, too late now.
Yeah, like I said, this is a great conversation to have for next year.
Yeah.
I think for now, I think we're kind of in the position that we're in, and if you guys look at these, I know we got that salary recap the other day. We don't have a whole lot of positions in the city that are grossly overpaid. That extra 2% is going to push them to the top. I think the majority of this city, and I think we've done a pretty good job in some areas as well. The majority of this city are really hardworking folks that are really dedicated, and I think they do need to be rewarded. We can't put the blame on them for the time and a half they got for COVID. That was an executive management decision. So I think we just kind of let's roll with it this year, and if we want to come up with a plan for next year, I'm really open to that discussion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, yeah, I think next year's budget may be a little tighter with property values with what they're expecting them to do this next year. So we may end up being in a tighter pinch next year than this.
Well, we'll have a jump on it this time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Because we're going to be looking at the budget, I hope, halfway through the year, and then, periodically, and, okay.
Okay, next, city manager's report.
Yes, make sure I'm on. I included the report in here. There are some updates I wanted to give you verbally, and I'm trying to get this tweaked so it matches everything that the commission wants, but also fulfills getting the message out to the residents through our website. One thing I wanted to cover, and I think all of you have heard me talk about being counted for the census. The courts did extend that to the end of October, as I mentioned in my report, if you read it. But the Supreme Court, I guess, stepped in and said that the president has the right to end it tomorrow. So the counting is going to stop tomorrow. So if anybody's out there that hears us and they haven't turned in their census yet or haven't gone to our website, it's a 10-minute process. Please be counted. That's my commercial. Just to kind of update you on some of the developments that are here, which is under the building official development report. Our generator is moving well, our own structure that's here. They are planning on putting in some columns that were specially built for the generator. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll be finishing that project up. Again, that is a FEMA grant project. Where 75% of it is being paid from FEMA, and we might also, because of COVID, qualify for that 100%. So that might end up not costing us anything at the end of the day, which is very good. We also, speaking about grants, we did get approved for the Department of Justice grant, which paid us back $45,000 of our overtime costs that we spent during COVID. Some of the other grants that we have that, we're still working on, the SAFER grant with the fire department, we haven't heard. We also have a CARES Act grant that is going to help pay for the extra janitorial and sanitizing that we had to do during the COVID situation, and we're still doing now. We obviously haven't heard on an approval on that. I believe it was just submitted Monday. But again, it's another grant opportunity that we have. And we still have the public assistance grant. And that was one that on all the expenses that we had with COVID. So starting from back in March, and we submitted that, and we've been waiting on hearing. But that's more of a FEMA-related grant. And so we expect that one's going to probably take the longest out of all of them, unfortunately. The actual developments in the city, the permits are ready for what we call Condo B, which I think they call Harbor at Town Center condominium project. That's the one on 150th. And I believe those went out yesterday or today. It was the update that I got from Mr. DeSantis. The Gulf Grill, the beach access, they ended up pouring the concrete, and it looks like the railing's in place. I'm not sure if Frank has inspected it yet, but that should hopefully be opening by the end of the week or the beginning part of next week, the beach access again. And then they'll be finishing up the parking lot, and bringing in the portable bathroom. So we're probably about 4 to 6 weeks, I'd say, roughly away on getting that completed. The Madeira Del Mar condominium project, that's the one over here on First Street. That's a 4-story, 13-unit project above 2 stories of parking. That's moving right along. I believe it's about 70% completed. Holiday Isles, which is the Hampton Inn project, has still been kind of languishing as they work towards funding. But the condo portion of that project, again, that permit got approved and that's ready to go out the door. I don't know if they've picked that up today yet or not, but that's a movement forward, at least for that parcel. I don't really have any more updates on the remainder of it. The parcel in Johns Pass Village that we call the Johns Pass Village Resort, the owner has taken a contract on the property, so it looks like we might be dealing with a new owner group that I personally haven't met with to see what their plans are, but that should probably shake out, I would imagine, within the next 60 to 90 days, and we'll learn more about that project, and I'll be reporting back to you.
We voted on to allow them to demolish and rebuild?
No.
Okay.
That one is still moving along. They're removing the asbestos, so it didn't go as quick as we can, but I think they have until like the 10th or 8th of November is their 60 days, and we haven't heard back yet what their report is, but we are following up on it.
You're talking about the proposed hotel in Johns Pass?
That's correct. What they call the resort, and the gentleman that owned it decided that he was going to sell it, and obviously, as we know with developers, as they move through, sometimes it changes a couple times, but I'll be giving you an update on that. And the Hotel B site, which is the triangle piece, that's back to I believe that's back to the original owner, and they want to move probably within the next year or moving forward with that. So we've also been dealing with, it's not here, but we've been dealing with the schooner project. It's not going to be called the schooner, but that's kind of how we refer to it. And we expect to be seeing some movement in that project within the next 4 weeks or so, if what they're telling us is how it's going to work. So, and I'll answer any questions that you might have, anything that you see that I missed, and definitely work on improvements. And you can take a look at it and just give me feedback if you want to later, if you have something now, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I was wondering about the litter project we've got going on, signage, when we're going to be able to roll that out, the Protect Paradise, because I was just down at Johns Pass. I still don't see any signage or anything for that, so I was wondering.
Yeah, the sign designs languished, and I think we had a committee meeting last week on it, and I think we'll be moving that out. I haven't seen the final design myself, but I know they've been working hard on it.
Have we got a time frame?
We hope to have the signs up there within the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay, and I think you just got a letter out again to the Coast Guard on the timer on the bridge?
Yes, thank you. I forgot to bring that up. We did reissue the letter. We went through, we got the bridge logs, and we dealt with all the development issue that has gone on with the bridge since they instituted the 20-minute intervals, and we're requesting 30-minute intervals, but when we looked at the bridge logs, it was obvious that the bridge tenders aren't even following the 20-minute rule. So I think not only is it hard for the motorists to remember where the 20 minutes are going to fall so they can plan their trips, it's even, I think, hard on the bridge tenders on realizing, the distance between. So we gave them all that information. We included that along with, the hazard it is to public safety when our firefighters are trying to get to the other side of the bridge, or our law enforcement officers are trying to get in and the bridge is up. So hopefully we gave them enough information and enough analysis that we'll get the approval.
Okay, thank you.
I have a quick, what is a litter committee? I've never even heard, do we have a litter committee?
Well, it's not a litter committee. It's basically the department heads that have been involved, Public Works, the manager's office, Parks, in working on the campaign to, protect Paradise, I guess is kind of the nomenclature that they coined.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never heard Protect Paradise. I didn't hear that yet. Yeah. Maybe I missed it. I just never heard of it.
Do you think maybe once we roll that out and actually start giving people fines, we could maybe borrow an electronic sign and put it on Tom Stewart Causeway for a while?
Right, we talked about that with the sheriff's office, and I talked to Captain Liner about it, and they're ready to go when we're ready to go.
Okay, thank you. Mr. City Attorney, do you have anything for us?
I did issue the litigation status report. We're going to be updating it every month if everyone has seen that. I just want to make sure that you understand that most of these lawsuits, our law firm is not handling. They're being handled by the insurance carrier and so forth, but we've tried to gain information from the attorney representing the city, and we'll continue to update that status report for you on a monthly basis. But I'd be happy to answer any questions when you look at that report.
Okay, thank you.
Did we get that report? I did not get that report.
I provided it to Megan at the end of September.
Not in your packet?
No.
No.
Okay, I will get that out tomorrow then.
Okay.
Here's my copy if you'd like to take a look
Oh,
at
I
it
don't know.
tonight.
I can wait till everybody, but thank you.
Thank you. You don't have anything else for us, do you, City Manager?
No, sir.
City Clerk?
I do. I'm going to remind everyone in Madeira Beach to come vote on November the 3rd. We have 6 charter amendments on that ballot, and be happy to see everybody.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Unless any of the commissioners have something to report. Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. This meeting is adjourned at 8:18.